After doing some digging this week, I think the Georgia Bulldogs have a major advantage over the Auburn Tigers as the Dogs prepare to head over to the Plains for a big-time rivalry game. But we're going to talk all about it because there's one part of this game where I really like Georgia's chances, and we're going to dig into that and more. And really, it's Georgia's front seven against Auburn's struggling offensive line. Now, I'm not talking about specifically the pass rush because I don't want to say Georgia's been non-existent there, but they've really struggled to get after the quarterback, but Auburn cannot protect the quarterback. So something's got to give, and I think, either Georgia's defensive front and that front seven and those edge defenders, those pass rushers are going to have a really big game, or we're going to be sitting here Sunday morning basically talking about how Georgia, it's going to be the detriment of their season, them not being able to get after the quarterback. But Auburn's had a tough time protecting it, and we're going to talk about why, because Hugh Freeze had no problem saying exactly what the Auburn faithful have been talking about. It's not that they have bad players, but they've played two big road opponents, Oklahoma and Texas A&M. Both of them have outstanding defensive fronts and pass rushers, better than Georgia's, you could make the case for right now. So yes, they were on the road in both of those games. Yes, they went up against really good defensive lines and pass rushers. And yes, a lot of the sacks that they gave up, I think 9 to Oklahoma, 5 to Texas A&M, a lot came late in the game where they could pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. So if Georgia can put themselves in a position to get Auburn into third and mediums and third and longs, they're going to have that potential too, or that ability to get after the quarterback. They've got good players. They've caused pressure. They're not sacking the quarterback, and that's something that has to be done at a more consistent level. You're getting it from the linebackers, Chris Cole, C.J. Allen. I think those are Georgia's two leading, sack guys right now, but you need it more from the guys with their hands in the ground. And we're going to talk about all of that, including Hugh Freeze's comments about his offensive line, which I think Georgia fans are going to really enjoy reading. But first, I want to plug Sales Hatch. That is our new sponsor. They are great for us. Listen, Sales Hatch helps businesses and helps other small businesses get their foot in the door with others. If you've led sales teams before, you know the toughest part isn't exactly closing the sale, but it's getting your foot in the door and getting that first meeting. That's what Sales Hatch can do for you. They can kind of middleman that part, right? So the stuff that you're not comfortable with or you don't know how to do, right? Reaching out to other businesses to meet and partner with them. That's what Sales Hatch is going to do for you. So they really do a great job of helping small businesses get in touch with others so they can work together. So if you own a small business or if you're on a sales team, Sales Hatch is the place for you. They do a great job. Make sure you're checking them out. They have helped us get in touch with other companies. They're a great sponsor and they do a really good job. So make sure you're checking out Sales Hatch. Now, going back to Georgia's pass rush, because they can defend the run, and I think it starts there. If they can stop Auburn's run game, which was not great at all against A&M, a lot of that had to do with him getting sacked over and over again. That didn't help with the rushing yards. But Jeremiah Cobb, Damari Alston, those are capable running backs, and they're not bad players. But if Georgia can do what they've done pretty well all year, which is stop the run and force quarterbacks to make plays with their arm, I don't know if Jackson Arnold is that type of guy. So a lot of it is stopping the run, but Auburn's done a bad job of being disciplined and staying out of penalties. And yes, a lot of that has to do with them playing on the road in those hostile environments, right? It's easy to go backwards and have those false start penalties, but they have consistently put themselves in third and medium and third and long, and that's led to sacks, and it's led to them being absolutely terrible on third down. They were 0 for 13 on third down against Texas A&M, if I have my numbers correct. But here's what Hugh Freeze had to say about his struggling offensive line and what they're doing. That's hurting them and making them go backwards. He said, quote, protection-wise, you can't get into third and long constantly. It's just not going to work. The first thing you have to do is not create penalties that put us in those positions that allows us to get the ball out quicker with the quick game where we don't have to constantly throw the ball down the field and depend on a draw or something to create an explosive play in those situations. So again, the pass protection, can we sustain or can we strain more? Sure. We're not going to win those one-on-ones all the time in those situations when they know what you have to do. The teams that are successful on third downs are the teams that are winning first and second down and staying ahead of the chains. Yes, we can work on technique. Yes, we can work on our backs protecting better and using our tight ends. But the bottom line, let's don't get in those situations too much where they have to be, where the defense has their ears pinned back, constantly coming after us. And them playing at home is going to make things easier. They're not going to have the crowd against them. But Georgia's still in an opportunity to where if you stop them on first and second down, Jackson Arnold's not a guy who can throw Auburn's way to victory. Yeah, he's going to try. He's going to have to try to get the ball to his playmakers down the field. Cam Coleman's a really good receiver. Eric Singleton's a really good receiver. They've got guys there, but receivers are not going to win this game. They're going to make some plays, and I think Georgia's secondary is in a position where they need to play well against guys like Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton. Those are playmakers, and Auburn has to use the screen game, get the ball out to those guys quicker. In a way, they're very similar to Georgia, where they want to run the ball first. They're a run-first team, but they need to get the ball out quick, and they use the screen game, which is an extension of the run game. They really don't want to drop back and pass a ton when they're doing it because they have to. A lot like Georgia, they don't want to see Gunnar Stockton drop back and throw it 30 times. He had to against Tennessee because they were fighting back and they needed big plays through the air late in that game, but they want to run Jackson Arnold like Georgia wants to run Gunnar Stockton. So in a way, they're similar, but Georgia's offensive line has not shot themselves in the foot in the same way Auburn's has. And every time they make a big play, it's called back for some type of a penalty. When I watch Auburn, not every time, but many times where they finally break out and make a big play or make an explosive, or Jackson Arnold comes up with a big throw down the field, a lot of the times it's coming back, and you can't have that. Penalties are really costing this offense, which, again, is made up of good players. They've got really good receivers. They've got an athletic quarterback. They've got a good athlete back there. I don't think he's a good enough quarterback to beat Georgia, especially with his arm, but they've got capable backs. It's the offensive line up front that has really hurt them. The costly penalties, and when you get into third and medium, third and long, late in the game, and the opposing defense know that you have to throw, which has happened in their last two games, that's where the sacks come. And I think Oklahoma sacked him like 4 times on the final 2 drives. But the 9 is 9. 9 sacks is way too much. But this offensive line cannot protect. And, Georgia has the opportunity to get some guys out there like Chris Jones, who is he's a second string outside linebacker, but he is a really good pass rusher. And we saw that against Kentucky. In fact, Davin Bellamy, a former Georgia outside linebacker who had a massive play against Auburn in that 2017 SEC championship game. He's doing some stuff on YouTube, some film breakdown. Make sure you go check that out. I'll plug that. I don't know what it's called, but I'm sure you can look it up. Y'all are smart people. But he was talking about how Chris Jones was really affecting the game when he was in there. And almost every time number 28's out there, he's flashing and he's making plays. Maybe this is the game where we see more of him, but Chris Cole can get after it. I want to see more of Joseph Jonah Ajanye from a pass rush standpoint, a guy who can play that 5, that 3 technique. But he's a 5-star for a reason. We're probably looking to see more results there. Raylan Wilson, he can get after the quarterback on the blitz, but at the end of the day, Auburn's tackles have had some real trouble, and if Georgia can attack them in the third and medium, third and long situation, I think that's where they're going to be golden in this game. If Auburn wins, it's because they're running the ball, and Jackson Darnold is safe with the football. He's not turning it over. He's able to run too, and I think he will have some runs. Auburn will get something going on the ground, but I do think Georgia's going to be able to establish a run game a little better. Auburn is a solid defense too, but at the end of the day, I think the biggest weakness on either team, it's not Georgia's pass rush, it's not Georgia's secondary. I think Auburn's offensive line is probably the weakest unit that will be out there on the field on Saturday. So, again, that's where Georgia's big advantage is, I think, and not just against, getting after the quarterback, but stopping the run and forcing them into passing situations where they can do what Oklahoma and Texas A&M did, and attack and get after the quarterback when you know that they have to throw the ball. But Auburn's got to get out of that situation by not shooting themselves in the foot and not creating penalties that put them in those situations. They've got to make big plays and keep them too, and that's something that they've really struggled with. It'll be a little easier at home. This is their big first big night game, home night game of the season. It's probably their first big home game really of the season. They had Oklahoma, Texas A&M on the road. I think Baylor was a neutral site game. So the crowd's going to be ready. They're going to be into it. Georgia still needs to play really well to win this game. I think they will by about a touchdown, maybe even a little more. I just think Georgia's all around better, and I think that defensive front could have a really nice game against Auburn's offensive line. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. You could read more about this over on dawgpost.com. Can't wait to see you over on the website.